This is Africa Online Media Corporation. This is Africa Online Media Corporation. We're about to go live on this Sunday, March 29, 2020. In a minute, we'll be on. We're on, but we'll take a minute of silence. First of all, for Manu Dibango, and then for all the others, victims of the COVID-19 coronavirus. That said, here we go. Today, March 29, is the 89th day of 2020. 277 days remain until the end of the year 2020. On this day, 3 years ago in 2017, Britain filed for divorce from the European Union as Prime Minister Theresa May sent a 6-page letter to the European Union Council President Donald Tusk. That divorce was only consumed earlier this year. On this day in 1930, the Turkish city of Constantinople was renamed Istanbul. Built by Byzantium about 657, then renamed Constantinople in the 4th century after Constantine the Great made the city his capital, the Turkish city officially received its present name, Istanbul. So much about history, and on to our topic, the psychological impact of coronavirus, COVID-19, and all the other viruses that are related to it. This, in part, is how we introduce the topic in our WhatsApp chat room during the week. Ever since the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 hit the world, leaders of all backgrounds have spoken out and taken action to stop the pandemic in its tracks. But the going has not been easy, as political leaders scrambled to ward off the health hazard. Professional and committed individuals have gone into action to contribute knowledge and expertise in fighting the disease. But the consequences of COVID-19 on humanity are more than political action can stop. The illness is showing a psychological toll on both victims and caregivers. So what are the psychological and emotional consequences of COVID-19 on patients, families, and responders? Has enough action been deployed to counteract both the physical and psychological toll of coronavirus disease, the COVID-19, and the virus SARS-CoV-2 that started it all? Join Africa Online Media Corporation this afternoon to raise awareness on the consequences of this disease. Your idea or opinion might be just the note. Combatants in this fight need to reverse the course of coronavirus. Dr. Nicholas Santos will be available, he's already online on this live broadcast to answer your questions. Here now is our reflection. As we engage the topic, let us take comfort from Psalm 40 because we wait patiently for the Lord's help and we know that he listens to our cry. He will pull us out of the dangerous pit of COVID-19, out of the scary mess into which we now find ourselves. He will set us safely on the solid rock of confidence and secure and embrace us. He will teach us a new song of praise, and we will glorify his name because he will make wonderful plans for us. We will trust, and we will obey, and we will conform to his will. For all we know, the coronavirus, which surfaced in a Chinese seafood and poultry market late last year, has now spread to more than 160 countries on the globe. Figures on the devastation it has caused are not very clear or conclusive. Some say it has so far killed more than 16,000 people and sickened tens of thousands more. The World Health Organization, WHO, has declared it an international pandemic. On our live discussion today, Africa Online Media Corporation zeroes in on the psychological impact of the disease on all of us, patients and non-patients, men and women and children. The point is that as a virus, it is invisible and attacks its victims in ways still being fully investigated. But the devastation the disease is leaving in its wake has already surpassed any other disease that has occurred in the world. That devastation is taking on an untold toll on human health, economies, social activities, and you name it. The question that comes to mind is, so what and how does the human race triumph over the coronavirus? What is its toll on our collective and individual psychological status? And what would be the short and long-term consequences of what is now going on? Join Dr. Nicholas Santos and the rest of us on Africa Online Media Corporation to shine the light, to raise awareness, and to help us all understand how to face this new challenge, a challenge staring us so unblinkingly in the face. No matter what it becomes, its consequences notwithstanding, we must not give up hope and we must not despair, or in Pope Francis's words this past week, be scared, so we should not be scared, advised the Pope. Rather, we should, like that woman at the well in John's Gospel, leave our jar of sins and go out into the world to face the odds and to turn our fear into armors that shield us from COVID-19 and the desperate moments we are now going through. Whatever its consequences, we must never allow complacency to keep us in mediocrity. We must listen to our medical foot soldiers who are not giving up and who persist and persevere in the trenches to ensure that coronavirus and COVID-19 are not just pushed back, but totally defeated, totally erased from the face of the earth. Let our discussion begin. Zoom in, say something, speak up so that together we propose solutions on the best practices needed to overcome. You're all welcome to the program. There is our guest, Dr. Nicholas Santos. There is Reverend Pam. There is Sylvia. And I saw somebody dial in by phone. They are all welcome. We are all welcome. And Sylvia, your first question or comment.
With regards, first of all, let me welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Santos. Thank you so much for coming on the program. And let me say hello to our viewers. As always, it's a pleasure coming into your homes on this Sunday afternoon, or is it morning, evening, or some of you have already gotten into Monday. This COVID actually has really done a number on most of us psychologically. The other day, I was walking on the street. It's a very safe neighborhood. And this lady, I think it was with her son or maybe her husband, I don't know. But anyway, it was a couple that was walking towards me. And as soon as the young man sneezed, the woman ran. So I stood there looking at them and I was wondering, should I run to?
Could run to hide behind you.
Oh my God. No, seriously. It stunned me, right? I stood there. My face was like, but I thought it was for better for worse, because to me they look like a couple, but again, who knows? So what the woman did, look at my hands. You see my hands? She took her hands, right? And she had a long t-shirt on with pants. She took the inside of she picked up her shirt and took the inside and started wiping her face with the inside of her t-shirt and her hands. And she told him to back away from her. So in standing there myself, I started saying, wow, is this our new norm? When somebody you run, somebody clears the car.
That's it.
Oh my, even if it's your spouse or your child or whoever, it's becoming. But anyway, all jokes aside, looking at the way this pandemic has come about, it's teaching us quite a lot. You know, in the olden days, if I remember correctly, Reverend Pam, please correct me. In the olden days, I do recall watching movies when I was very young, because I come from a very strong Christian background. Both my grandparents were reverends. You could not walk into anybody's house with shoes. You had to wash your feet before you walked into people's homes. And I believe some people even required you to wash your hands and to wash your faces before you walked into people's hands. Now, what do we call that today? We call that hygiene, right? We call that cleanliness. So with the pandemic that has hit us now, it appears we're going back to the olden days ways of the way we used to live. Secondly, all these gadgets that we have, the iPad, the Nunos, whatever you call these things, they take away a lot from our family time. But now you notice that we are coming back together to the olden days again as a family, sitting down and talking with our mouths, not with the phone and texting and everything is on a tablet or an iPhone and stuff like that. So as much as it's a bad thing, killing us and getting us so sick and all that stuff that is negative towards us, I condemn it with every part of me that is really good, because it is not doing a good thing for us as, in our bodies as human beings, even though it is making us now conform to the right ways of us living as humans together, where we have to be extra clean and take that extra time to make sure we wash ourselves, wash our hands, wash our legs and stuff like that.
Indeed.
But don't run away when I cough, okay?
Yes. Okay, Reverend Pam, before we go to Dr. Santos.
Well, I want to especially welcome Dr. Santos, one of our pioneer health professionals on Africa Online. Dr.
Hold on, Reverend Pam, adjust your screen. We can only see you up to here. We can't see your mouth.
Oh, okay. Well, I can tell you I'm not copying. No, I said I wanted to especially
welcome there you go.
Santos.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Santos is one of our pioneer healthcare professionals on Africa Online Media Corporation. Dr. Santos, you are welcome, and I'm very expectant on this show, and I know we are streaming live. I've shared the link, far and wide. I hope all your followers are watching, but more importantly, we are believing that our brothers and sisters on the continent, that's why we have the program at this time, so they are still awake on the continent, and even in the diaspora, we'll learn a lot. We know a lot of, especially Americans, are not used to being locked in. We like our freedom. So I would like to pose a question to you, Dr. Santos. What can Americans do to keep from going crazy? And you know what I mean, because I think one of your nicknames is Gambe Man, Dr. Santos.
Okay, Dr. Santos, over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon to all the panelists, and good afternoon to the viewers who are watching me at the moment. I want to extend my gratitude to Africa Online for bringing me back again to weigh in on this matter of extreme humanitarian concern. The first thing I would like to say is that now people get to know that mental health, psychological and psychiatric education is not only targeted towards healing madness, but intervening in issues that concerns all human beings.
Yes.
Be it a suicide, a homicide, be it a mass killing, be it an industrial breakdown, be it in the hospitals where people develop terminal diseases, be it people who suffer from psychiatric or mental health or whatsoever. That's why this field is so broad. Even in politics, there is psychoeducation. We are needed in all these fields. At master's degree level, we are taught all the diverse branches of psychology, which is industrial and organizational psychology, forensic psychology, media psychology, and but also clinical counseling psychology, marriage family therapy. These are branches that you can choose whatever you want to do and specialize in it in the doctorate level. In the doctorate level, I specialize to become a counseling and clinical psychologist, which means for the hospitals. But on the other hand, I could still use my master's degree knowledge to do psychoeducation. I could still use it to intervene in industries that are crumbling. For example, when productivity level in the factory is low, they call on the psychologist and industrial psychologist to come and see how he can reactivate that productivity by examining the problems that, or troubleshooting on the problems that may have caused that industry to fall. And he may reawaken that company, or he may jumpstart that company again by pointing to forklifters who have made accidents, asking their problems. Maybe some are going through divorce, some are having a terminal disease that caused that productivity to be low. And that is what the CEOs do all the time by hiring the services of psychologists. In politics also, we have seen on CNN, when there is any homicide or suicide, there must be a psychological reporter who tries to evaluate this issue and looks at the impact on behavior. Now, a question was asked to me here about what should Americans do, or I would like Reverend Palm to repeat that question again so that I go into the question without taking you too far.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Santos. I was saying that we Americans, our freedom is very dear to us. As a matter of fact, Americans hold their freedom better than, closer to their heart more than anything else besides God. So being asked to stay home or being locked in, some people are even afraid to go out to work because there are some information out there, I haven't vetted it yet, that this corona, the SARS-CoV-2, which is a virus, can stay in the air for up to 8 hours. So people are afraid to breathe the air because the surgical mask doesn't prevent it. Not everybody has N95 mask. So what should they do? What advice do you have for people, Americans in particular, and people in the globe in general, to keep them from going crazy or going insane by being basically locked down?
Thank you. Thank you. That question is clear now. Okay. This is a life-threatening emergency. And in a life-threatening emergency, you do everything that you can do to stay alive. If you are asked and advised by medical professionals that this is how they have studied the virus, this is how it stays in the air, you have to lock yourself down, and you have to sanitize your hands, and you have to practice safe distancing. If that is going to keep you alive, you have to go by that. And I think the whole world has been respecting this. I've seen videos whereby people are being told to leave the mosque, who were heady, who could not follow to those rules, and they were being beaten by police officers in different countries. I've seen in India.
Yes.
I've seen in India how people are being beaten in the streets because they did not comply with the rules of lockdown. Mm-hmm. So the fact is that all of us have to practice what the practitioners tell you. Mm-hmm. Because it's an issue of either you respect the rules now or you inhale the disease and it has no cure for the moment, apart from containment that countries are trying to contain. But also, these kind of rules do bring also impact the individuals mentally, because if you are deprived from not doing the things that you are used to doing, it now qualifies as one of the criterions of mental health, because mental health is the inability for you to do the things that you used to do. Because if you are used to working and bringing income home, you are used to going outdoor, and then someone or a law has to restrict you, or a condition has to tie you down, now produces some effects psychologically on the human, which are basically stress and coping. And stress is a disease that kills more than even the disease itself. What about fear? Fear that leads to panic phobia and can escalate to depression kills more than any other disease. So while trying to contain one disease, you may pick up another one. So, but now, how do we cope with this situation? We can cope with this situation by following the guidelines given by CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, which means that if you are experiencing that type of a situation that can develop into a panic attack or a depression, you can call 911, or you can call the National Center for Disease Control at 1-800-799-7233. Those numbers I provided in the forum last time, because let me tell you that stress and depression is what most of the Americans are going through and what most people worldwide are also going through at this moment. And I think we ought to pray that a solution is found before it escalates to find people rushing into psychiatric hospital rather than the infection itself. Because a greater disease that will kill at this time may not be from the coronavirus itself, but from stress, depression, fear, and other psychological impacts. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Santos, we're talking about the American, but we know that our people out in Africa live on agriculture. They live on the land. And actually, last week or during the week, one of my relatives texted me to say, but how are we going to eat if we cannot go to the farm? I just said, well, make sure you have a mask, wear it, then you go to the farm, do your work, come back home, but make sure you wash your hands before you touch any other thing in your home. So, doctor, this is my concern, our people out there in the continent.
Yeah, you know, last week when we had African Online, I especially gave a message to my people who are not used to abiding by rules.
Yes.
Mostly the people from Africa and the people from some developing countries. For the Westerners, I know they know how to go by rules. For example, we used to say that a black man has his own time. When you say 4 o'clock, it's 7 p.m. So the same thing,
yes.
I've gone around, some friends are telling me, doctor, you see, this disease does not affect the black people.
Yeah, right.
I said, but we just lost Manodi Bango.
That's right. Yeah.
And we have lost some basketball stars and others who have tested positive. Some have not died, but we should know that when they say this thing is for sure, it exists. It exists. And so follow the rules that have been given by medical practitioners until we await for a cure. We may have to practice these prevention methods. And the prevention methods are simple. Practice all what the practitioners have given you to practice, and also learn how to cope with the stress, anxiety, and panic that comes along with it. And then we also know the immediate consequences of staying indoors without working. For example, I listened to some social media activists who were saying that in Africa and other places where people live by daily output, which means they do not have any bank accounts, they go out for the day and bring food on the table. They ration their houses by 2,500 CFA, for example, or 5,000 a day. A mechanic, a bus driver, and all those people doing the black collar jobs out there do feed their family on day-to-day basis of income. Now, if you have to force this shutdown on them, like the people in India who were beaten by police and those who were being beaten in Afghanistan also from a mosque, this may tie them in a house situation whereby it may lead to massive looting of shops in the night, increase in crime waves and other things. So we try to look at it and we try to look at how people are going to cope in this kind of situation when the resources are not there. It's high time for governments to step in and try to see how they can provide some things to those people who do not have. Someone was telling me in Russia, if you are found in Russia out of the street, it's 5 years in prison. I still have to verify that information. But if the governments are trying to keep the people safe, that's the policy of containment, of whereby they can be alive. It's like, you better die in your house than die from the disease. So it may come to a point whereby people run out of stock and people are dying in silence in their houses. And I pray it doesn't continue for that long, because this lockdown can be effective for a short time, pending a research on a vaccine for this situation, or some sort of a remedy that can make the people bounce back to life as usual. So I think for now, the world, the entire world, not only America or us in Africa, is going through this, and we are just living one day at a time as we observe these bad times come to pass. And I always remain confident that this too shall pass.
Sylvia?
Yes, I was watching a video. I don't know what country it is, but I know it's somewhere in Africa, doctor, where there was, I think, 8 men, eight able-bodied men, let's say between 35 and let's say 55. All of these were saying they are mine workers and they share a room, 1 bedroom. You know, the normal standard bedroom, right? Now they say some of us sleep during the day and when the others are at work, and the rest of us come and sleep at night when the other was working during the day. Now work has been stopped for everybody. Day or night, there's no work going on anywhere. So the reason they rented that room is for affordability's sake. Let's say each person is paying $10 a month. That is very affordable. Or is it $5 a month to live? They go, come and stuff like that. But now we are being forced to be quarantined and we're being forced to stay in the house. How does that, I mean, how do these people live? They ask the question and say, you learned people out there, how do 6 or 8 able-bodied men fit in that little, they gave a dimension 6 by something, I can't remember, at one time? Because you're taught, they said we're talking about this distancing where we're not so close or cluttered together. But yet in that room, if we have to be quarantined, we are all stuck in that one little room. So what advice do I give somebody like that? They sent me that video. I don't know whether they wanted me to make a comment. It was some people I know, but.
Sorry, I was interrupted here. Can you just take that question briefly again?
I'm saying for able-bodied men in living in one room, sharing one room, these I believe are mine workers. Some work at night, some work at day, like 5 day, 5 night, or whatever the number is. So they're saying medical experts or medical doctors are asking us all to stay home for quarantine. Now, they have never been in the house at the same time because they're shift workers. Let's say 5 go to work at night, or is it 4 go to work at night and 4 sleep, and whatever the rotation is. Now there's no work, there's no day work, there's no night work. Everybody has to stay home. How do we practice distancing when there's eight or whatever number able-bodied men in the house, when there's not even space for us? All the space we have is just to sleep. Once we get up, we go, the other people come and sleep. So how are we going to advise these people? Because I can only imagine the level of stress right now, because they're standing outside. Policemen are coming to whip them for being outside instead of being in the home. And they're trying to explain to the policemen to say, we can't go in the home because the home is small. The police, I think he peeped in the house or whatever and says, well, squeeze yourself somehow in there. But how do we advise on social distancing in this manner?
I think we are used to having families that have about 25 people in one house. For example, in our African families, we have polygamous homes and families that have about up to 30 people. Mm-hmm. The issue is that provided at the time of announcement of this pandemic, there was nobody contaminated among those people. Because I have seen situations whereby it's advised medically that we have to take our temperatures. Yeah. Everybody in the house has to take on his or her temperature. If your temperature does rise more than a certain level, the normal level, it means that you may be having some symptoms of the disorder. So yeah, of the pandemic. And also, if you have respiratory problems, it's a call of alarm. It's a call for alarm. So at this particular point in time, provided that house was not infected by anyone, everybody there will be safe. So squeezing yourself, even on, I've gone to family visits this time, because there are also other positive things about this pandemic is that, especially in the Western world, is that it has given more time for families that have never spent time among themselves to spend their time with themselves. Wives who have been in problems with their husbands, or children who were not agreeing with their parents, find time to know that there's a greater threat, which is a pandemic out there, and it's a call for unity, because now we are battling life, we're not battling quarrels. Exactly. So, because if the corona comes down, it will not know whether that marital home was in problems or it was correct. So you people, families get to sit amongst themselves and say, "Well, you know what? Now it's struggle for survival. It's not what the quarrel we used to have." So we better stay back united and make peace. And then even nations that have been competing among themselves now learn to know that all these things we used to call missile testing and nuclear weapons, we have to be careful, because the unfortunate thing about it is this pandemic is that it strikes the rich more than even the poor. It strikes the political elites even more than us. You know, it's shocking to me that when I go through, I come around the victims who have tested positive, it has affected the UK, this Prince Charles over the leadership there. It has affected even our own countries. It has affected stars. It has affected musicians. It has affected, I mean, it's there. So at the end of the day, people sit back. If I listen to Joel Austin also, because I also, psychology and mental health goes also with some Christian therapies, that it provokes me most of the time to listen to most pastors, most priests, what the type of words that come out from there, because they're very strong psychologically as well. I listened to Joel Austin. He said, this is a time whereby most of us seem to appreciate. TB Jakes, another American like that. He was talking about the coronavirus is a test to mankind. It's a test to mankind, and it's some sort of teaching us that we have to be kind to one another. We have to go revisit ourselves in-depthly and examine our consciences and see if we have been living the appropriate life, because it has made families to be united now by staying home that they have never stayed home before. It has, I mean, now it's a struggle for survival. Everybody who is back home now, or everybody who finds a space within his own home, that is a safe space, has to be in that space, no matter how small that space is. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Pam.
Yes.
Or maybe Sylvia had a follow-up. I don't.
Okay,
I did.
Sylvia,
I was,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
You
I
had a
did.
follow-up. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I don't know whether I should say this as a joke, but I just wanted to appreciate and allude to what the esteemed doctor said. I got a video of a woman who was praying, and apparently she's from Zimbabwe because I speak Shona, my mother's from there. So she was praying and saying she thanks God for this corona, and corona should not go away at all.
the devil is
Because
a liar.
because
Want it to go away.
this has kept her husband at home. It has kept her children at home. All those children who like to go outside and prostitute, now they're home. The husband who used to have two homes, her home and the small home, now the small home will not see the husband for until corona.
Oh yeah.
So there are the positive aspects of every situation. You have the positive aspects. That's why Asong was talking about the long-term and the short-term effects of the psychological effects of the coronavirus.
Yes.
We see the short-term effects. The short-term effects is death, inability to control, no remedy yet, only prevention methods, safe distancing, hands washing, using of sanitizers, avoid crowded places whereby somebody may sneeze. For example, when people do sneeze in the past, we said, bless you. Now, where has the bless you gone? I never knew in my life that for once sneezing would be more than the barrel of a gun.
That's right. That's right.
You know, Dr. Reverend Pam, have you heard of the new one where they're saying if you spray your face? There's a lady who allegedly was supposed to have recovered from corona. I follow her. She's on my Facebook. I don't know her personally, but I do follow her. And she said since, I think it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, she got much worse, and somebody sent a video where her friend told her that you have to get a spray bottle with water, cold water, spray your face and moisten your face as much as you can, and then take the blow dryer, the blow dryer for our hair, and put it, it's got high, medium, and low. And she said the instructions were for her to put it on medium and hold it as close to her nose as possible. So her throat, you know how they're saying the throat feels like it's got glass, and she was having trouble breathing. Everything was just going wrong. And she said she has experienced pain in her life where she broke 2 ankles at one time. But the experience she had was it Thursday, Friday. She says it's indescribable. You cannot even begin to describe the amount of excruciating pain and how you know that pain is not going away no matter what. So she said she decided to take the advice of this friend who sent her this video, and she took the blow dryer to her nose for, I think, 2 hours the first time. Now, doctor, please correct us if we are wrong. I have to bring this up because this video has gone viral. They're alleging that the corona is staying right here at the bridge of the nose in here, according to her, from her, what she said anyway, but the esteemed doctor can correct me. She said that they're saying that the virus is staying right within here, which is the coolest part of our face, or coolest part of our body. And that's where it's living until it's to do whatever wreaking havoc it does. So she says, upon holding the
blower,
not the fan, the blow dryer, yes, the blow dryer, for 2 hours, she said she started feeling a difference in her body. And then she said she took it back. Now she just held it there all day. She said, take it off for a little bit, put it. She says all day long she did that. Now she's saying, if you saw me Thursday, Friday, and today, none of you will believe me. I could not even hold my phone on Thursday, on Friday, because of how bad she was. But now you see her speaking, it's like nothing happened to her. But she swears, and the people that know her swear, and for sure she hasn't been on Facebook for 2 days. So, doctor, how true is it that heat from the blow dryer, and you, well, she put this distance here, which is quite close to me, if you can see, from the side like that. How true is it, doctor, that if you put that blow dryer towards your nose, it will fry, or it will bake, or it will cook those coronas? And by the way, corona is a he, it's not a she.
Okay. You've ended it right. It's a he, not a she. Everybody thinks a he, and everybody thinks it's a she. Thank you for that.
It's a it. It's a it. It's a
no,
crown.
it's a he.
It's a crown. So it's a he. Okay.
There is one thing I always say, is that any discovery which will serve as a solution to the problem must be scientifically researched upon, then a conclusion drawn. In the medical field, or in the psychological or medical or psychiatric field, we have what we call a control trial. This lady has come up with something which needs to be put into a trial experiment and a research to prove if that will be an appropriate remedy. Mark you that in the midst of this confusion of a pandemic coming up that we were never aware that it was going to come up, or we never got ready for it. Everybody wants to propose his own solution of what is happening. Yeah. Some will say eat too much garlic. Some will say eat onion is the solution. Some will say we have discovered lemon and that is the cure. But now we are still awaiting how a control group will be put as opposed to a focus group, whereby it will be researched to see that this amount of substance was used on this group that had this pandemic, the other group that did not have the pandemic, and another group that was having fears of having it. And this is what produced in this group as opposed to this other group. And then here they will declare it that this is successful. For now, even the chloroquine, which for now stands the milestone achievement in this, which has been declared even by some presidents that chloroquine is a treatment. I remember we took chloroquine for malaria when we were small, and I don't even know whether chloroquine still exists in our company, in our part of the continent anymore, because all of it must have been consumed by now for the amount of malaria in that area. So if chloroquine is resurfacing as one of the best treatment for now, I think that is still a test of chloroquine in progress, because as of now, there is no treatment that has been found. No company, no medical industry has been able to come up with a treatment, or researchers or scientists, or a vaccine. That's why they insist on prevention. We know that heat has been proven to be one of the issues of containment, in that they do not survive at a certain temperature. The virus does not survive at a certain temperature, and that's why somehow we are blessed to be coming from a tropical region. That's why we have recorded maybe lower amount of deaths in Africa because of the heat. Yeah. And then also because some people are saying because the Africans used to take shower most often. They are used to taking shower every day. For example, when I used to live with some Westerners, something used to tell me that I took my shower last Friday and I'm waiting for next Friday.
The devil is a liar.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Some,
true. They do that.
some,
Yes.
not all.
True.
Some. So I'm saying that for now, any other method somebody has used remains a research in progress.
That's right. That's very true. And I know that research is continuing, but I hope and pray that sooner rather than later, we come up with a vaccine that will handle this thing so that it disappears. Because my prayer, as I said in my reflection, is that this thing goes away as quickly as possible. That said, Dr. Santos, we're talking about distancing, social distancing, physical distancing.
Ania,
What is,
can I
yes,
just interrupt you real quick before Doctor, he can catch his breath before you,
yes.
you continue
Okay.
with Dr. Santos.
Okay, you go ahead. You go ahead.
On behalf of Africa Online Media Corporation, thank Dr. Santos for that response. As an organization, we don't endorse any particular treatment. As far as we are concerned, there is no FDA approved cure or treatment. The FDA, some people have been, both politicians and lay people, been pandering information that chloroquine or hydrochloroquine is a cure. It's not a cure. What the FDA did was approve a fast-track trial of that. We all know chloroquine is an anti-malaria. It's not an antiviral drug, but there are some testing going on, controlled trials. Again, when they say a drowning man will grab at straws, but just to comment something on that blow dryer, there's a certain temperature range that the human body, exists on, and that temperature range is not high enough to kill the virus. We're not going to argue. You cannot argue with somebody's experience, but I want to exercise some caution here. Maybe she felt better because the virus was just taking a natural course because she's been sick for some time. We know the common cold has been around. The common cold is one of the oldest viruses, has been around forever, for thousands of centuries. Nobody's been able to come up with a cure for it. So treating virus is not easy. A lot of people use the phrase going viral carelessly, like they say that video went viral. What coronavirus is doing, that's what virulence means. That's what it means for something to go viral. So I just want to caution everybody that as an organization, we're not endorsing any particular treatment. Whatever you do that can help, please share it, but don't, and we cannot argue with your experience. For example, I'd mentioned on this show before, I hate medications. I don't like to take medicine, and I don't do the flu shots. I don't trust vaccines. I'm not saying nobody should take the flu shot. I'm just saying that whenever I get a cold, I drink pepper soup. And 100% of the time, pepper soup knocks it out in 12 hours, less than 24 hours maximum. I am not saying that is a treatment. I'm just telling you my experience. So I just wanted to thank Dr. Santos for that response. So Niason, please continue with your question to Dr. Santos.
Yes, before I continue with my question, you may want to post your spices you put in your pepper soup so that our listeners may be able to cook the pepper soup using your spices. Maybe that could help them too.
Habanero pepper, lots of habanero pepper or Scotch bonnet pepper, onions, ginger, garlic.
You are speaking to Africans. You are speaking to Africans with jalapeno. I mean, they wouldn't understand what that is.
Any hot pepper.
Okay.
I don't remember what they call it in Africa. Any hot pepper. Just put a lot of pepper. The virus will not, or will not be able to stand the heat from the pepper. That was my.
Bush pepper and hot pepper. Okay, Sylvia.
Any hot pepper. Any hot pepper.
Yes, I understand. Yes, Sylvia had.
Do you know that? You said that I looked good and I sounded good today. You know why?
Tell me.
Can you believe that Reverend Pam shipped me some soup?
Oh Lord!
In this pandemic, the love this woman has for me.
Because you're all in Texas.
She shipped me 2 types of. She's in Houston. I'm in Belton. It's about 3.5 hour drive or so.
That's close enough.
From there.
That's close. What do you expect Dr. Santos and I to do? We live in Maryland or West Virginia or I don't know where. So what do we do?
Both of you are married. You don't need me to ship food to you.
There you go. Thank you.
Yes.
Good response.
But I wanted to say the pepper knocked it out. The pepper in the soup knocked my disease away.
Okay. Now my question, Dr. Santos. social and physical distancing. I know I like to talk about the future. What is going to be the outcome of social and physical distancing, especially with the ladies, take this, especially having children in the next 9 months or in 9 months to come?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. And it has been my worry. When I've talked with friends and colleagues, I've told them that this new pattern that has been set may remain in history forever. And it may be one of we call them the hangovers of the pandemic. The way that we had been close to each other, like hugging, greeting so intimately, has now changed. The pattern has now changed to leg kicking, which is a greeting, or elbow to elbow.
And
Yes.
elbow. And elbow. And elbow.
Yes.
Or bicycle greeting. We call it
That's
from
right.
And then we'll go the Yoruba style, whereby a woman just bows the head in front of an elder. And then we'll go back to the primary school times, whereby ladies are bound to hold their skirts and go down a little bit with their knees.
There you go.
Yes.
That's colonial style.
That's right.
A new pattern of distancing that comes with those salutations and other things have to, and it will not be easy for it to go away, even if the virus were over today. There is also a reduction in contact between females and males and males and females now. And some people have even said that free ladies, I refuse to call them by other words because it's not appropriate, who were going out to look for their daily bread as a result of chasing men around, are now scared of approaching men or men approaching women because of the virus.
Yes.
So I think that it's going to have some positive hangovers as well as some negative hangovers. But all in all, this issue of safe distancing, for example, there was an interview that I had at the Department of Health. The Department of Health last 2 weeks in West Virginia, Department of Health. And I was surprised that at the time when there was a lockdown in other states, I was being called for an interview for the state, into the civil service. And when I went there, they said, I have interview today. But everywhere else was locked down, but West Virginia was not yet on lockdown. I think West Virginia is the last state to lock down because we recorded just about 2 deaths. And for the governor, that was not too life-threatening for his state to lock down. But at the end of the day, when the casualties kept on increasing with the victims, he was forced to lock down. But in spite of the lockdown, health is not locked down. The penitentiary prison is not locked down. Some services are not locked down. So when I went for that interview, that was the director of Child Protective Services position that they wanted to give me. And I went there. The interviewer, who was the director of the Department of Health, sat like 3 meters apart. And then the human resource HR was also 3 meters apart. And I was this way. So we had to use microphones to talk.
Wow.
So I said this is the first kind of interview which is face-to-face, but it looks like an online interview.
Yes.
So after the interview, the only time the director approached me was coming to give me papers to sign and say he can now come closer to me because from the interview he has discovered how responsible I am, that I cannot be a victim.
You gave him confidence. You gave him some confidence.
Yeah, he gave me my papers I signed and he told me to go and do my fingerprinting and said, because of the coronavirus, there can be no training this time, but we keep in touch and we will call you.
Amen.
So that was my first experience of distancing in the coronavirus was my job interview with the state.
Okay.
So how can an interview be conducted with us 3 meters apart when I'm present? Because of the virus.
The virus, yes.
Yeah, so this social distancing has come to stay. Even if it's normally we have in the ethical exercise of our duties in our profession. We'll learn that in ethics, ethical principles of the mental health profession, ethical principles of the mental health profession. That's a course in itself. You come to learn about boundaries. Boundaries is what we now have in this virus. Boundaries. Respect for colleagues, sexual harassment, boundaries.
Yes.
You don't need
That's
to go
great.
up to your co-worker in his face and talk to him in his face, or you don't need to go towards a lady and touch her in the butt, or you mistakenly touch her in the butt. That's sexual harassment. Respect for boundaries. So this has taught us now how to respect back those boundaries which were in the books that we never respected.
Good.
I hope
Thank
that
you
one
for
has
that.
come to stay.
Hopefully. Now, Doctor, take another breather. Reverend Pam, you are monitoring the screens for us, and I believe that people who may be in, but maybe waiting to ask questions. So I just wanted to throw it out there, just in case there is someone out there itching to ask a question. I actually saw one of my former students come in, and I believe she may be itching because I sent her the link. I said, join the conversation. So please, if you're out there and wanting to ask a question, Gladys, for example, please, if you're still with us and you want to ask a question, you are free to do so. Anybody, please?
We have someone, I don't know if that's Gladys, with a 240 area code, and several people are watching on Facebook.
Yes.
But there's somebody with a 240 area code. I don't know if that's your colleague.
It might be, but she may just be wanting to listen, because I said she could either ask a question or just watch or follow us.
For those who are watching online on Facebook, you can send your questions on the chat room, the group chat. I'm monitoring that also. Ania Song and Sister Sylvia are the co-anchors. Dr. Santos is our expert, and I'm just the technical assistant. I'll keep doing this until we get a volunteer for IT. I'm not an IT person, but I'm one of those people that do whatever it takes to get whatever done. But before I go back to Nia Song, Dr. Santos, I want to appreciate your respect for women. You know, I've never had prostitution being referred to as daily bread. That was a new one for me. But thank you for respecting them. And also, hopefully, one of the good things that come out of this is that profession will finally die. It's the oldest profession, as we all know. Finally, you know, during this time, those people will figure out how to survive without, you know, violating themselves. So thank you so much, because that's the only crimes out that people commit against themselves. That's the only sin or the only damage. So I just wanted to appreciate you for your respect for women. Nia Song.
Thank you. Sylvia, you've been quiet for a while. Do you have another question or comment before we turn back to Dr. Santos?
You are muted. You are muted.
Oh, who's muted? Sylvia's muted.
Yeah. Okay. Now she's
sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The grandkids had come through. They were knocking, so I didn't want to. Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Yeah, I was saying, no, like Reverend Pam, I really want to appreciate the doctor for his thinking outside the box. Yeah. His answers are quite educative, and a layman like me who doesn't know nothing about medicine, it's very, very easy and simple for me to follow and to understand, you know, which way he's in the way that he's responding. But nonetheless, doctor, this pandemic, is it transferable from mother to baby if somebody's pregnant? Do we know?
When they say a disease is airborne, it means that you inhale it or you pass it on to another in normal day life. As of now, I don't think it is, we call it a predisposition, genetics or birth predisposition. It's not really, except that child is already out here and breathes it from the body.
Okay, because, but not from internally from the host, the mom that's carrying him or her. Okay, that's good. That's
so far across all all the research I've done in my own angle about this, I don't see any contamination by unborn baby, which means embryo. Any baby still in the womb or the fetus being infected as a result of this, but it's only transmitted by person-to-person contact or by handshake. Then you mistakenly take the hand into your nostrils or in any of the eyelets, like your mouth or your nose or your eye or the ear. Because once it gets into the head, the disease tries to make its way through the head, through any of the air spaces of the head, then gets to the brain, then go down into the lungs, whereby it destroys the respiratory system. And you start getting that effect of respiration, fever, and other symptoms. And it's just of recent, some studies are showing that it is not definitely a death sentence. It is how you manage it and how quickly they're able to discover and intervene. That's why it's always important to let people know how to respond to any symptoms. You have resources, you have numbers to call. The easiest one in America is 911. And then the other number from the Center for Disease Control that I put in on the show last time. If you call as quickly as possible, they may use some other type of medications that are available for treating common cold and other respiratory issues to try to sustain, as well as use some oxygen and other things for the lungs to sustain some of the patients. And then also last time I told you people about the people who stand a very high risk of having this in the category of our health professionals who are taking care of these people, teens and children who stand a very high possibility of having them. Then you also have people with pre-existing mental health condition. Yeah, pre-existing condition, not only mental health and health conditions. There are people who have been struggling with other diseases that are life-threatening. For example, HIV and other things, and are already on medications. They stand a very high chances of being victims. The older population as well, the older who are already having respiratory problems and others. And then you also have substance abusers, substance users, who through the hands as a result of smoking cigarette or wrapping all those type of hard drugs may easily do that with unclean hands and then inhale them. So this is a time that it's been advised that smoking is a no-no. Drinking, I was in a beer parlor like when this thing just broke out, I stopped by a beer parlor where one of my friends is there. I discovered there was nobody there. But I found two of my friends that said we are quarantining ourselves.
In a bar, in a drinking spot.
So the beer is now their medication. They are quarantining themselves at home. So now there's a new language. When you see any African going home, on Facebook and a lot of medias, I've seen people carrying their jugs of palm wine and calabashes of Heineken and stuff. They say, well, I'm going to take my quarantine.
Yes.
Not a good move. Not a good idea.
Not a good move.
But that does not help in any way because it's instead a psychological impact and a psychological effect of this pandemic, because some people who were not drunkards being home will eventually become drunkards because they are home drinking. And then when we talk about the psychological effect, we forget about increase in birth rate. We may find a high increase in birth rate than we have ever found before because of the result of this indoors. Nia Song is listening. And one of my friends said, it's good there should be too many births because it will take care of, it will replace those who have died.
Population explosion.
Yes. Well, my earlier worry was that there will be no babies born 9 months from now because of the social distancing.
And then that was my worry. The social distancing may be outdoor, but indoor it has brought families closer than ever before.
No, indoor is physical distancing. You sleep on your own side of the bed, 3 feet away.
Okay, we are coming up to the top of the
top of the hour, yes. Let us all take a breather while Reverend Pam tells us about next week going forward, and looking at the clock. We think she should come in now, so we move on for next week.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nia Song. This is so awesome, and I know, Dr. Santos, you may never know the number of lives that you have impacted by sharing your knowledge and your expertise. You've always done that, and we really appreciate you. And let the West Virginia government know, or governor know, that that job belongs to you, and we endorse you, not just from the show. Like I said earlier, you are one of our pioneer health experts. As a matter of fact, you got your PhD while on this, your doctorate while a member of Africa Online Media Corporation. We were there to celebrate with you. We even saw your graduation pictures on the air, on the forum, and I remember speaking with you, your wife, and your mom, during that graduation. So we are so proud of you for your
That's right.
mankind. But it's the top of the hour. I have some exciting news. We have a young lady from Africa's Brain Bank, one of America's new addition to America's squad. She's going to be on this show. She was going to Zoom in today, but she's on call. She's an infectious disease specialist. Some of you, if not all of you, have seen her video. Her name is Dr. Beta Sowa. I'm very impressed with her. I did speak with her this week, and she's gonna be handling the infectious disease aspect of this coronavirus. Again, normally we discuss a health topic at the end of the month, but it was just wisdom from the Lord that we started the month of March, the 1st of March, with this disease, and our point physician, Dr. Ogoji, he's probably very busy because his state was one of the first states with the hot spots. I'm sure if he's able to, he will Zoom in. He's been very, very helpful. He's been faithful, and we'll continue to pray for all our healthcare workers, all our frontline workers. But starting tomorrow, we're going to be talking about, and Dr. Santos, you mentioned something along these lines, and I hope you have more time this week to weigh in. But with this quarantine and a lot of people staying home, there have been some increase in domestic violence, especially against children. We don't have the specific statistics, but it makes sense that people used to get up in the morning, people go to school, children go to school, mom and dad go to their separate way to work. Now they are cooped in under the same roof, and the probability of people stepping on each other's toes more has increased than before. And people are sharing the same space, the same air to breathe and stuff like that. So we're going to be talking about the increase in domestic violence, resulting from this coronavirus and the quarantine. Also, Dr. Santos, we will still need you back on because this still falls in your line of work. And I didn't know that you went to an interview for this similar position with children, so I think you'll be a good source, and a good resource for this stuff.
I will.
Great.
I will definitely be there. Thank you.
Great. That's a promise, and I trust you for always respecting your word.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because of the coronavirus, our upcoming summit, which was slated for October the 3rd, is being postponed to next year. So even though October is far, our event, we need at least 9 months to put up the kind of mega event that we put up. So we will be giving you details of that. But as of now, our event will not take place this year. Our people's lives and our brothers and sisters, their safety is paramount to anything. But we will continue virtual activities, because anyway, our organization is a virtual organization to begin with, and we need everybody to help build this brain bank. Dr. Santos, you have 300 million followers. They need to be part of the brain bank. Their brains belong to Africa. So I'll be discussing that with you offline. But Nia Song, and we have some good things in the queue. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but we're going to be having some special guests on this show in the very near future. Back to you, Nia Song.
Thank you so much. And turning back to our special guest, Dr. Santos, this may not be a question, but just a remark about seeing videos being sent out from left, right, and north, east, and west. I don't know. What should the ordinary man on the African street, for example, who is homebound, what should they take as truth and false or fake news? Because fake news is seeming to be also greatly injected into this conversation. How will our people on the continent distinguish between what is true and what is faked?
As concerns this virus, we always advise the people to listen to the World Health Organization news about it, and then also listen to official communiques from their governments, because the governments have decided to extract the enforcement rules by the World Health Organization about this and implement it. You must have, like from Cameroon, the Prime Minister has read a clause and also putting in place some sanctions about or some modalities of rules that have to be respected, stopping of incoming flights and outgoing flights. People have to be home by 6 p.m. You know, they are not saying total lockdown because that society lives by daily bread. Daily bread. The workers go out and look for food every day and stuff, but they avoid crowding, overcrowding, and other things. People, I think not more than 50 people allowed to be in a particular place. Every community or every country adopts part of those World Health Organizational rules in reflection to how their community functions. And I think people should consider getting news. All of us have internet. We have our cell phones that have internet. We can Google WHO news. We can contact resources like the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. We can watch official medias like CNN, BBC, and their official radio stations and television networks about it. But there's also another negative aspect of watching too much of people who are already suffering from stress and panic in this issue, watching the news all the time to listen to the amount of people who are dying, or listening to the kind of numbers, listening to prime ministers that have been affected and they're even threatening to resign and give up and other things. When you focus on listening to the negative aspects of this pandemic, then it only goes to heighten your degree of fear and panic, and you may die not really from the virus itself, but because you are depressed, or you give up, or you may end up committing suicide. Some people who are weak may commit suicide. So please, we should be careful on what type of news we want to watch. You must know your resilience, your coping mechanism with what you want to watch. For example, I don't just want to see the reports about the deaths, because I may, if I see them, I'm already thinking that I may be the next one to die. Thank you.
Thank you. Sylvia, any question or comment?
Yes, he's right. Each individual, I think we know our we know our limits, what we can and cannot handle. And of course, as the medical doctor has said, some of us minds are weaker than others. But all I got to do is just to encourage each and every one of us, and just realize it from our Bible. When God created us, he did not create us with fear. God did not put fear to say you have to live by fear in one's life. You can overcome fear in many, many ways. Like, for example, for me, my biggest thing is if I'm really concerned or worried, usually I don't worry, because I believe that if there is something for me to worry, there should be a solution to it. When I start worrying about something and there's no solution, guess what? I dismiss it because it's wasting my time. It's stressing me out and it's taking too much out of me anyway as a person. So for those brothers and sisters who are out there, some of you need to call somebody and talk to somebody. Some of you need to call a friend. Like the doctor is online right now. I don't know if it's agreeable for us to share his number. I'm sure he can provide some free counseling services to some of us who cannot afford, to pay him at this time. Because there are some people who live alone. Like Her Excellency, the ambassador, was laughing at me today. She says she's glad I'm stuck in Texas because had I been in Maryland, I'd have been by myself, which is very true. So I'm here with my grandchildren. I'm enjoying my grandchildren. I have people to talk to. Now, what about that old grandpa living by him or himself that maybe is wheelchair bound? Maybe he or she cannot get up by herself or himself. We also need to start doing a wellness check on some of our friends. It's unfortunate that in my family, I have experienced 2 deaths where 2 of my family members have died because they live alone right here in the United States, and they were both young, 45 and 42, and that should not have happened. So once in a while, not from corona, no, they didn't die from corona, let me correct that, but I'm just saying, once in a while, we need to learn to check up on one another. Call, just even a text message, hey, Doc, I met you online 2 years ago, how are you doing? Oh yeah, Sylvia, thank you very much for writing back. Or how Reverend Pam, I haven't heard from you, my sister, for 3 weeks. How are you doing? Just me seeing your text coming back, I know that you're doing well. Now, there are other people who are, I'm going to call them recluses for a better choice of words, who do not want to share what is bothering them in the, let's say in the heart. We always say in the heart or in the mind. This is not
introverts.
Oh, introvert. There you go. Thank you. An introvert, yes.
Yes.
There are introverts that I personally know, and I'm appealing to you, my brothers and sisters. You know, I'm a loud mouth and I don't stop at nothing. I'm appealing to you that this is not the time for you to be an introvert. It's time for you to become an extrovert, even if it's just for 2-3 weeks.
Correct.
If you are under stress, I'm begging you and I'm pleading with you. We need to all stay alive. We need to all be together. Call me if you need to talk. You know, any secret you tell me, I keep. Somebody come back and tell me anything they've told me they've heard it on the outside. That will be a lie. You know, I'm a very good listener. I may not be a medical doctor, but I always have some good advice because I use the advice that I use for my 4 daughters, you know, and my life's experiences itself. Also, you know, on other people. So please call somebody if you're by yourself. You're feeling depressed, feeling lonely, feeling scared.
This opportunity to give this disaster distress helpline.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The disaster distress helpline is 1-800-985-5990. Or
Say
you text.
Say it again, please.
1-800-985-5990. That is the disaster distress helpline. Or you text. You can text people who are speech impaired, can text talk with us. Talk with us to 66746. So these are some of the resources at this time that if you or someone you care about are feeling overwhelmed with emotion like sadness, depression, or anxiety, or you feel like you want to harm yourself or others, if you don't call 911, you should call these numbers for immediate assistance. If you don't want to call Dr. Nick Santos to know your personal problem.
Dr. Santos, can you also share your website? You do have a website where it will be unwise or impractical to expect everybody to have your cell phone number. Then you know your real patients will not be able to reach you. But if you want to share a website, and also if you have questions with Dr. Santos, you can also inbox us on our Facebook page where you are watching this live broadcast. But Dr. Santos, can you share your website?
I will share. For now, I don't really have a website except my organization's website that I work for, which are owned by other people. But I have a Facebook psychological page called APSCAM, Association of Psychological and Psychiatric Services for Cameroons. APSCAM. On Facebook, has about 6,000.
Only for Cameroonians. That's not fair.
No,
anyway,
that
one is for Cameroon. That is for Cameroon. But I will do for Africa very soon in the days coming. But now this one is for Cameroon, and then I'm already doing it for the West because I'm working in the United States. So anyway,
so me, if I have a problem, I can't call you. That's not even right.
No, you can.
No, you can.
My phone number.
That's just a name.
My phone number. I will share my phone number and all the other aspects of it, my details for anyone to contact me after this show.
All right.
Excellent.
Great.
Excellent.
All right. Reverend Pam, are you done with that?
And then let me also add for those who are in DC area, I think most of them know the clinics where I work. There are 3 clinics, the dedicated care health services in Georgia Avenue in Northwest DC, City Care in Northwest DC, and Abundant Grace Health Services. All these are 3 clinics in DC where I participated to build them up. So I go there part-time. I'm like a doctor on call, pro bono, doctor on call in these services, so that I may refer you to one of the services for evaluation if you don't necessarily need to see me.
Okay. Let me just correct something. Sister Sylvia, that was just a name. The camp stands for Cameroon. Dr. Santos, Sister Sylvia is from Zambia, you know, but she loves Ndole.
Okay.
So she is
Yes.
a Cameroonian. I think she was a Cameroonian before going to Zambia, but that was just a name. So he's available to everybody, whether you are African or American.
I'm available to everybody. Yeah.
Okay,
Good,
thank you
good,
for that
good.
clarification. All right.
Yes, that's good.
Thank you. That was good.
Okay, Reverend Pam, you done with the?
No, I just want to share something because
Yes, go ahead.
to me, fear is a more dangerous virus than even the COVID-19 or the SARS COVID-2. So I just want to encourage everybody that fear doesn't bring any help, any positive things. It has torment, and fear is from the devil. I'm not trying to preach, but I just want to leave you with a reference, with a couple of biblical reference. The first is 2 Timothy 1:7. God, I think Sister Sylvia, alluded to that, but it's saying God has not given you and I the spirit of fear. Fear is a spirit. It's an evil spirit. But it's a that of power, love, and a sound mind. I want to encourage everybody. When you start feeling afraid or when fear knocks, let faith answer. You don't have to dwell on it. Watch your favorite movie. Call your favorite person on this planet and chat with them, and that fear will go away. And the second scripture I want to leave you with is Philippians 4 from verse 6 to 8, where it says, you should be anxious for nothing. We know anxiety can destroy a person. But in everything, thanksgiving, you should let your request be known, and the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will garrison your hearts and mind. And in verse 8 is telling you the things to think of. So during this time, it doesn't matter what your religion is. No religion will take anybody to heaven. It's your personal relationship with God. So I just want to say, in verse 8, think on the following things that are lovely, things that are pure, things that are honest, things that are of a good report. Think on positive things. Don't think on negative things. It destroys you. So the fact that fear comes is natural, but you don't have to dwell on it. You don't have to entertain it. Over to you, Niaso.
Thank you so much. And to tie in with that, Pope Francis urged the world not to be scared and have faith in a special papal address on Friday. He was addressing a virtually empty St. Peter's Square. The head of the Catholic Church said the COVID-19 is a furious, that is his word, furious storm, describing people as fragile and imploring society to look out for the elderly and those in need. Those are the fragile groups that you mentioned. Pope Francis said in a special and rare Urbi and Orbi sermon, during this time, I'm quoting him, it is important that everyone is together and everyone comforts one another. So the pontiff continued, all members of the family are important. And referring to humankind's struggling against this virus, the Pope continued, why are you scared? Encouraging Christians to have faith as he spoke in the rain in the Vatican City on Friday. So indeed, we have to listen not just to our government, but also to dignitaries around the world, the Pope and other people who tell you what you should do. Listen to the WHO because they have first-hand information on this thing. So we should not give up hope, as we're all saying, as the Pope was saying, we should not be drowning in fear. We should rather stand up and face the devil. That is the fear that Reverend Pam was talking about. Well, Dr. Santos, I know you are a special guest, and Reverend Pam, I think at this time, we want him to give his summary, his last word on this virus that is menacing us every day and every second now since it started.
We still have 12 minutes, but
okay.
Yeah.
I was not looking at the time. I know you're the timekeeper.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity to come on African Online and to talk to the world about this issue and to empower the fragile people out there who are not emotionally and psychologically strong, who are undergoing stress, anxiety, fear, worriedness, depression as a result of this, those who have not been able to fulfill their daily routines that brings to them bread on the table for they and their families, those who have sacrificed everything to go out there and expose themselves to victims in the hospitals, the police officers on the streets who are trying to ensure the life of the people are safe. Although the rules may be a little bit difficult to respect because we have been used to being outdoor and used to going about our activities, then out of a sudden, something like this strikes. But I believe, as I said before, this too shall pass because we had the HIV, which threatened the world. We had the Ebola that came. We have had common flu and other things that have infected us. We have had floods, earthquakes. The other day I was seeing a big river coming down from the mountain in Cameroon, Mount Cameroon.
Yes.
I saw how water just got out of the mountain. I was sweeping houses. I said, what is really happening? Something must be going wrong here. But all in all, if some of us of faith, of strong faith, religious, this is the time for us to pray because we are seeing some of the things written in the Bible that seem to be coming true. And we have to pray. The world really needs to go down in prayers. When we talk of prayers, we don't depend on what kind of religion you adhere to, whether you are Muslim,
no,
Christian,
religion is faith is not
have,
religion. Yeah, that's right, Doctor.
Faith
Thank you.
is faith. Faith is faith.
Is faith.
We have to pray at this time and pray stronger than ever before because we are really in trying times. But for the effect, psychological effect, both in the long run and in the short run, we have examined some positive things coming from it, not only negative, because this has proven that some families have become united that have never been united before. It has found time for husbands to spend time with their wife. Children and families are indoors by force. And that may lead to healing of some broken relationships. And we may have some children that we have never had before in couples who have never put to bed. This may be the first time to have a child, no matter the song different with me that there will be in-house distancing, but you know.
Yes.
But I see that it's difficult for that in-house distancing to occur because there's no coronavirus in that house yet. So things are still not well so far as no virus has gotten into the house. But we have seen also that there may be crime waves, increase in crime wave, whereby people may not have food and break into shops in the night to loot. There may be looting. There may be increase in armed robbery in other areas. Some people may resort to substance use who have never been before. Some may become drunkards because some people have taken it to mean that they lock themselves indoor to quarantine themselves with liquor and alcohol. We have looked at all those things. And then we have increased awareness to emotions, to dealing with these emotions, coping strategies for stress, anxiety, and suicide. We have given them numbers to call in case they feel down, or you feel high or down. You may want to call 911, or you may want to call the disaster relief hotline from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. We have given them resources like World Health Organization resources to check on and to get appropriate news about this. And all the other remedies that have been found so far are cosmetic solutions because they have not been scientifically researched through control trials and group trials and proven that this is an effective treatment. But for the meantime, we keep experimenting and see how we can fight this monster. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Santos. Sylvia, please.
Yes, it's amazing how the world, we've experienced what I will call a bit of peace in the world where the nuclear weapons now are at rest. All those threats of gunshot and violence, one country against another, the fighting and everywhere in Israel and everywhere else. Look how Corona has leveled everything to be at the same level. When God speaks, when God speaks, there's nothing man can do.
That's right.
I'm not saying God brought this pandemic, but something happened because in the old biblical times, the Lord used to give us plagues on this earth. I don't know if this is one of them, but if it is, we need to start.
It didn't come from him. It came from the devil.
From
He allowed it.
Come again?
This coronavirus did not come from the Lord. It came from the devil, but the Lord allowed it for a reason.
There we go.
Because he's
So
omnipotent, he could have stopped it, but he allowed it. God doesn't put any diseases on his children or any plagues. He already promised us that, but he allowed it for a reason. Go ahead, Sister Sylvia.
Let's go with that theory, and thank you for the correction. So we need to start exercising peace and loving one another. All those nuclear bombs that are sitting there, what are they doing? Work against Corona. You cannot bomb Corona. You cannot take a gun and shoot Corona.
No.
I'm serious. You cannot go and strangle Corona. You cannot go and assassinate Corona, but Corona will come and assassinate you. So even to our leaders out there, let's learn to get a peaceful earth for our next 50,000 generations to come. Because at the rate we are going, we can all see to say Corona is in control. No head of state here is above Corona. It doesn't matter whether it's the US, whether it's China, Japan, wherever. Everybody has been leveled on the same playing field. Doesn't matter whether it's Warren Buffett with his $1 billion or whoever else is out there that has the biggest monies. Guess what? Corona is Corona. So my people out there, let's humble ourselves. Let's learn to love one another. Let's do that wellness check after one another because life is too short. This minute I'm here, the next minute you hear an announcement to say Sylvia died right after the show. God forbid, but
not you. I don't want to.
Not at all.
I reject that in the name of Jesus.
We reject that in Jesus' name.
Yes, that's right.
But we have to be real. I'm just talking about reality. Let's learn to love one another, be there for one another, check upon one another, and our world will become a better place. Thank you so much, dear son.
Thank you so much, Reverend Pam.
Yes, we already canceled what she just said. Let me tell you, you are not even authorized. None of you on this show are authorized to go anywhere.
That's right.
African,
that's right.
In Jesus' name.
And the Lord promised us 20 years. So that in Psalms 91 verses, he said, "With long life will this satisfy us and show us his salvation." You're not going anywhere. We have work to do.
Amen.
Amen. With all, this is a time. Not everything about this virus is good, but we don't want it to hang around for even the next minute it needs to go. But it has woken mankind up. It has brought everybody back to the real king, to the real boss. Most of you, all of you might know that corona is, I think is a Latin root word for crown. Even a crown prince in UK, Prince Charles, tested positive. Corona don't care. The Prime Minister of UK.
I hear the Queen. I hear the Queen too. I heard the Queen too has tested positive.
Okay, it makes sense because Prince was really bad. But what I'm saying is that all those earthly crowns don't count. Corona doesn't care how tall you are, how short you are, how skinny you are, how you are, your bank, your account, your title, what you have. Now is even the time, excuse me, for all those prejudiced people to get on their knees and repent. All of us, we are all sinners. It's time for us to repent and know that we are not in charge. God is in charge. He's the only one. With a snap of a finger, he would bring this thing to a screeching halt. With a snap of his finger. There's a reason why the Lord allowed it, because sometimes you are talking to people that are not paying attention. Where's Wall Street? Where are all the billionaires? Oh, nobody's thinking about their bank account right now. Even banks are closed. But that tells you that banks are not even essential services. Banks are closed. Just grocery stores, pharmacies are open, and the health clinics. So we need to care, and I'm very encouraged by the collaboration of human beings, the love, peace being shared, even though there are still a few people harboring unforgiveness, still trying to plan evil against their human beings. Now is the time to repent, my dear brothers and sisters, all of us. We're all sinners, but now is the time to make peace with God, get in right standing with God, no matter what your religious affiliation is. Look, Corona is affecting everybody. I don't care what church you go to or whether you're a minister or not. So I just want to encourage everybody, don't be afraid. Let's continue to look unto God because he's the only one to save us.
Thank you very much, Reverend Pam. Thank you very much, Sylvia. Thank you very much, Dr. Santos. We opened with a tribute to Manu Dibango, a minute silence to Manu Dibango and all the other people who have died because of coronavirus. Emmanuel Joke Dibango was born in 1933. He died last week. And I saw his funeral in Paris. There were less than 10 people at someone's funeral who would have received millions of people to mourn his passing. His first public show was when he played in school at that time, When the Saints Go Marching On. Now the Saints have escorted him home, and some of his songs, Sol Makosa, Swao Village, Ngolowake, Superkumba, Kiefu de Ki, and Sango Yeso Christo. On that note, we say thank you all for being here today. If you tuned in but were not able to speak, we say please continue to follow Africa Online. We will be here next week. We'll post the topic tomorrow night, and we look forward to having all of you back with us as soon as Africa Online Media Corporation comes back with its live broadcast, and of course, during the week on our WhatsApp chat room. Thank you all so much, and please be safe. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye, Doctor.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.